President Trump wasting no time in the new year, railing against Democrats over impeachment, tweeting today that what he calls a partisan witch hunt is only bringing more division than ever. And while the timing and scope of the eventual Senate trial are still to be determined, at least one Democrat is now openly admitting the effort to impeach the president goes way back to even before he was elected.
The argument goes like this of House Republicans and Trump and his allies, the president and his allies, is basically the Democrats wanted to impeach Donald Trump from day one. They cast about looking for a set of facts that they could plausibly use to do it, and all of it was pretextual and reverse engineered to get to this point. Exhibit 1, Congressman Al Green, who's been calling for the man's impeachment for 2 years now. What's your response to that charge?
Well, the genesis of impeachment, to be very candid with you, was when the president was running for office.
Here now, Trey Gowdy, former chair of the House Oversight Committee, now a Fox News contributor. Happy New Year and welcome.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year to you.
The hosts there seem to be trying to get the opposite answer, that this is not political or anything like that. And then Al Green says, well, actually, it is political. It goes even deeper. How does that square with the prayerful Pelosi that we heard about?
Al Green is a gift from God, and we should buy him time during the Super Bowl so he just keeps talking. 2 years ago, Ed, he filed a impeachment resolution, and what the announcer that you just played didn't follow up on is 60 House Democrats joined with Al Green. So what else has Al Green said? He said the president should be impeached because he's fearful he may win again in 2020. So I always thought this movement began during the inaugural address. I thank Al for helping me better understand it. Actually, running for office is an impeachable offense. Not just winning, but running for office is an impeachable offense.
You mentioned something a moment ago that seems important as well, that Al Green also said recently that Democrats needed to move forward on impeachment in part because they can't beat the president at the ballot box.
Yeah, at least he's honest. I give him high marks for honesty, not high marks for following the Democrat talking points. I think Tulsi Gabbard may be right. This may wind up costing them some House seats, but I don't think it'll cost them the whole House. They're not going to win in November 2020. I've always thought, Ed, this is more about retaking the Senate, putting Cory Gardner, Susan Collins, Martha McSally, Tom Tillis in tough spots, because even if President Trump wins in 2020, if he doesn't have the Senate, he's essentially a neutered president. He can't get his cabinet through, and he can't get judges through, and he couldn't get a Supreme Court vacancy through. So I've always thought this was much more about the Senate than it is removing him from office, because that ain't going to happen.
That's an interesting theory, and it's also interesting because Mark Meadows today was talking about maybe beefing up the president's legal team and suggested they're going to win because there's no case here. Watch.
If I had to pick a team, I would say you get in Jim Jordan, you get in a Matt Gaetz, you put your A team, a John. Listen, everybody wants to have their day in the sunshine. This is not a time to play politics. It's a time to put your best team on there, and I think Matt Gaetz would be one of those.
What do you think about some of those players being added to the president's team if there's a Senate trial? And how did you reach your own decision to say, look, I'm going to stay and be an advisor on the outside, not the inside?
Well, the president's got a really good lawyer in Pat Cipollone. He's a fantastic lawyer. There is a political component to this, and I am a huge John Ratcliffe fan. In addition to being an incredible courtroom lawyer, John was the United States Attorney in Texas. He also understands the politics. He's on Judiciary and House Intel, so he's watched Schiff and Nadler. He's conducted the depositions. He's defended depositions. If there needs to be someone with a political background to understand the chronology and the process, Ratcliffe would be fantastic. But the president would win if the vote was today. And I don't like surprises. I don't like witnesses that I don't know what they're going to say. If the vote were today, the president would win. So my advice to him is go with the defense team you got now, Cipollone, Ratcliffe, Pam Bondi, Jay Sekulow, and then get to the vote as quickly as possible. Don't inject any surprises or witnesses that you don't know what they're going to say. It's just not good in a trial for there to be a lot of surprises.
A name you did not mention in that group is Rudy Giuliani. He was at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve for the Big Bash. Here's what he said.
I would testify. I would do demonstrations, I'd give lectures, I'd give summations, or I'd do what I do best, I'd try the case. I'd love to try the case.
What do you make of that?
Rudy's a really smart guy. You don't get to be the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York without being smart. You can't be a witness and try the case. I think he was being a little festive, a little hyperbolic. You can't be both. I'm not sure that I would inject Rudy as a witness because I got no idea what's going to come out of his mouth. Not that I'm worried about it. You just don't call witness. It's not a drama. It's not an ending where you're sitting on the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen. That's not what you do in litigation. You need to know the answers before the witness says a word. And to the extent there's uncertainty, don't call the witnesses. I like his current team. I think Pat Cipollone and John Ratcliffe are more than sufficient to defend the president on these facts.
Congressman, last question. When you mentioned witnesses a couple of times, the New York Times had a big outtake a few days ago suggesting there's more to the story on Ukraine. And as they pieced it together, they suggested there was this dramatic meeting in the Oval Office, Defense Secretary, Secretary of State, White House Chief of Staff, urging the president not to freeze the aid against Ukraine. Doesn't that suggest there may have been more going on behind the scenes? And you hear Democrats now saying that some of those cabinet secretaries, other officials, should testify.
Well, Ed, I am waiting for Adam Schiff to do what we had to do when we were up against Adam Schiff, which is go to court and have the other branch, an Article III judge, tell a witness to come before Congress. Adam Schiff did everything in his power to keep Glenn Simpson and the Fusion GPS people from giving testimony to Congress. So if he believes that strongly that he needs more witnesses, go to court and have the court order it. But he hasn't done that. So there's a way to do it. He just was in such a hurry to get these impeachment articles through, he didn't do it the right way.
They were in a hurry. Now they're trying to slow it down. They haven't even sent the articles over. We'll see where it heads next. Congressman, appreciate you coming in.